The college baseball experience on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up today with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RICHMM. And it is showtime once again back here on the College Baseball Experience. I'm your host. My name is Noah Bieniek, aka 77, and I'm here to recap the Game 3 of the National Championship Men's College World Series Finals that took place between Texas A&M and Tennessee. The Volunteers come out on top 6-5. Ultimately, provided plenty of drama once again. We had the tying run to the plate in the 9th inning. We'll get there. This is not my strong suit in recapping games, so I have my trusty Twitter timeline that I'm going to walk through for everybody. Just me instantly tweeting throughout the game, live tweeting throughout the game. That's when I'm best, not really kind of like recouping and corralling all of my thoughts and giving it into an episode of a recap pod. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here to help me out throughout this recap. So top of the first inning, we had Justin Lampkin on, or top of the first inning, we had Xander Sechrist on the mound for Tennessee, who, shoved, gave Tennessee all the length that they could ask for in this one. He gets through the first pretty unscathed. You go into the bottom of the first inning, Christian Moore, leadoff bomb. And all of a sudden, you get Tennessee folklore coming into this thing. You have like Peyton Manning, Morgan Wallen, Rick Barnes, Josh Heupel, all getting shown in one Tennessee fan suite. And the Volunteer train was off and running. Left the station and was ready to, head to this national championship, which ultimately ended up becoming that. But before we get out of the first inning, the Yurfee yes runs first inning or over a half runs in the first inning in the College World Series finals, all 3 games went over. So congrats to those bettors. The Yurfee ended up outdoing the Nerfie here in the College World Series. Moving on through my, timeline, we had a highlight of, more in game 2, really kind of bitching out Chris Cortez on the mound for walking him. But you see the passion on display in a positive way after the home run. And of course, it's a home run. So you're obviously in the position of the limelight. You have the opportunity to do things, acknowledge the bullpen, acknowledge the fans, showed up with the teammates in front of the dugout, go into the dugout, rile everybody up. Christian Moore, kind of that type of leader on field, for sure. Leader with his play, and also mentality and, and passion being visible on the field. So then we go second inning. I think Justin Lampkin got into some more trouble. And I was tweeting out like, hey, A&M probably has to get this bullpen buzzing. That was the handicap that we had. Lampkin was going to have a short leash. He honestly went a little bit longer than I thought he was going to, but overall it wasn't a terrible outing, I would say, but we had the handicap pretty much dead on, minus like in an extra inning that he threw. He finished the game here with 2.2 innings. I thought he would get yanked in the second rather than with 1 out to go in the third. But either way, it it worked out all the same for us. Um, in that top of the third inning, you know, when it looked like Xander Sechrist was just going to hop on a horse and ride through the first half of this game, Travis Chestnut lays down a bunt and forces Tennessee's defense to make a play. And we had seen the Volunteers kick it around in game one defensively and really gave Texas A&M a big offensive inning, 5-run output with 3 errors in that first game. Cal Stark fields the bunt. Xander Sechrist is kind of in his way. Stark does a 180 pivot, throws the ball away. Travis Chestnut, being the speedy fella he is, takes second, then swipes third in like the next 2 pitches. So now he's standing on third base with 1 out in this one. And, A&M just manufactures the run. It was Gavin Grahovic who got the RBI single to tie the game up at 1. I just thought it was tremendous from Chestnut, who, like, not the most offensively gifted infielder slash outfielder. He was playing center field in the finals, but second base throughout the season. Not the most offensively gifted. He was also pinch hit for in the middle of this game too. So, game 3, but in the middle of the game too. So, he made something happen with his ability, his God-given talent of speed. And that's how you do it. That's honestly like some Kentucky DNA for you going up against this Tennessee team. But, there's a time and place for it. And that was the first time all season that Texas A&M laid down a bunt with 2 strikes in an at bat, and it ends up working out. You got more than you could have asked for in that scenario. And then, immediately, bottom of the third inning, Tennessee responds. Blake Burke double off the wall. Dylan Dreiling sack fly to score Burke with 2 outs in the bottom of the third. Then, scrolling through my Twitter profile because I'm retweeting everybody, tweeting out all the highlights. Evan Ashemek started warming up in like the middle of the 4th inning, which is outstanding because that was exactly, I predicted that he'd come in the 6th inning, and I think he came in the 6th inning. So you know what? I do know my shit. I'm just kidding. Not really, but that was the handicap, and it worked out exactly. We'll get to it later. We'll get to the elephant in the room later. But Ashenbeck was warming up in the 4th, came in the 6th. The umpire, Grady Smith, shout out to Grissom. The only reason why I even know this guy's name is because Grissom tweeted it out that Grady Smith was behind home plate for game 1 of the College World Series when, Blake Burke had the check swing against Florida State. It's not Grady Smith's call, I don't believe. I don't think he was the third base umpire. I think he was the home plate umpire in that one. But anyways, the strike zone was kind of wishy-washy in this one. There was a Gavin Grahovic at bat where I thought he K'd him. I thought Sechrist K'd him on a slider on the second to last pitch of the at bat. And then umpire rewarded him on a ball that was probably 2 inches low for a strikeout to get out of a jam in the inning there. That was pivotal. That was a pivotal moment in the 5th inning. Sechrist, very emphatic, fired up after that K because he thought he had the strikeout on the pitch before. So, going through it more. I tweeted out after the 5th inning had concluded what I gave out on this show and in the article that I wrote. I took a screenshot of the article that I wrote. Tennessee first 5 money line, Texas A&M first 5 team total under, first 5 innings under, Tennessee first 5 run line. All 4 hit. The first 5 innings under was under 5.5. We hit it with only 4 runs being scored there. I didn't officially see an A&M first 5 innings team total, unfortunately. So I didn't have any action on that, but I was hoping that we were going to get that market. We didn't, but we did get the Tennessee first 5 minus a half run. That was at minus 160 when I saw it on DraftKings and bet that. We had Tennessee first five money line, of course, but it was a little bit juicier than expected. So I just played the run line. Anyways, those four reads, all angles that we were able to get across. Then, the sixth inning, I don't think there was too much that happened that was pretty eventful there. The seventh inning is what I want to talk about here for a little bit because you know what? I'm going to skip out on this part. We'll put a bookmark in this. I'll hit it after the ad. Dylan Dreiling goes deep for the third time in the Men's College World Series finals. He hit 3 2-run home runs in the seventh inning of every single game in the finals, which is just ridiculous. One, but he's also the first player in Men's College World Series finals history to hit a home run in all 3 games. So, obviously a huge feat. Dreiling played out of his mind the entire Men's College World Series. I regret something that I did. I'll talk about it in 5 minutes or so when I get done recapping this entire game with kind of the highlight portion of it. Kavaris Tears later on in the seventh inning blasts the ball off the right center field wall. Hunter Ensley scores from first base, and this was the game-deciding run. He scores the 6th run from first base, avoids the tag at home. I'm not kidding you. So Drew Curley is waving Hensley to the outside portion of home plate, slide to the outside, get out of the tag. And just by the nature of the throw coming in from the cutoff to home plate, Jackson Appel was taken up the line. So instead of going to the outside where Ensley was originally going to, he then swam onto the inside, avoids the tag completely. Appel's not in proper position to tag him on the inside because the throw was a little bit to his left. And Ensley, just full out, wingspan completely out to avoid this tag, perfectly places his hand on home plate as his body, his momentum is taking him way past home, helmet spike and everything. Game deciding run. Incredible play for sure. That was Tennessee did multiple things to win this game. I tweeted this thing out. If you were to see this exact play in the MLB, a ball beating a runner to home plate by 3 to 4 steps, which is what we had. That was the exact case scenario that we had there. If you see that in the MLB, the runner that's coming home just gives himself up. I've seen that plenty of times. And to be able to make something happen in not the most ideal situation was outstanding. Tremendous college baseball play. Then you go to the top of the 8th inning. They carry that momentum through. Who was it? We had Nate Snead and Dylan Loy get into trouble. Kirby Connell comes out of the bullpen. So A&M scores 2 in the 8th. We had, excuse me, in the 8th inning, we had a Jackson Appel singled, and then there was 2 wild pitches that allowed him to get in the scoring position for a Hayden Schott single. Hayden Schott played an outstanding game. Both Schott and Appel had great games today. My guy Teddy Burton didn't really have the greatest College World Series, unfortunately. The transfer from Michigan. Caden Sorrell doubled to left center to cash our underdog fantasy pick'em entry. I mean, we were on absolute fire, except for my favorite play that we're going to get to in a little bit. But the underdog fantasy entry, lower than 5 strikeouts for Justin Lampkin, higher than 1.5 total bases for Drew Curley, higher than 1.5 total bases for Caden Sorrell. Bang, bang, bang. I mean, I cashed 2 5X plays in the College World Series finals out of the 3 games. That's why these aren't offered the entire 20-week college baseball season. So Kirby Connell comes in from the bullpen, 2 runners on base, gets out of it. 3 straight sliders. We found out that that's kind of the weakness to Caden Kent. He chases the first slider. Honestly, wasn't even really a chase. It was a strike. It was a get me over off-speed pitch. Then he chases the slider into the dirt, kind of right over the plate, but still it was in the dirt, not a strike. And then the third one was really bad. Cal Stark was tremendous defensively, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, just being a field general. But I mean, you have a guy standing on second base in that position. I forget who was on second at the time. It might have been Sorrell. Sorrell has to let Kent know or something, because if you go back and look at this, Stark has his glove in the dirt in the right-handed batter's box saying, Connell, Kirby, I want the ball here. I want it in the dirt here. Kirby Connell spots it up. Slider starts it outside corner of the plate into the exact same spot that Stark wanted it. Kent's fishing, and Connell, everybody on Tennessee just so emphatic when they're on the field. Connell, that was picturesque, getting off, fist pump, everything, volley fingers and all. And then we jump to the 9th inning because Tennessee didn't score for the rest of the game here, but the 9th inning got really, really interesting. We had, Jackson Appel single home, who was on base for A&M at the time. It was Chestnut. No, not Chestnut. It was Grahovic on base at the time. Grahovic scores. Appel knocked him in, but so now we got a 6-4 ball game. That's 10 runs. So for some that had the total at 10, that then pushed it with the Appel single. Do I show my screen for this? Because I think I do. I think I should. I should say, because I didn't see anybody post the clip, so I had to go and do it myself. I had to take matters into my own hands and post a clip here. Pardon me as I get my headphones to put them back on, because this is my pinned tweet currently on Twitter. I think I did an amazing job in the moment giving out my exact feelings for what I was experiencing at the time. But for those that missed it, if you were on the under for this one, under 10.5, or if you had Tennessee run line, it was something. It was painful. I'll say that. We're pulling this thing up. Pardon me for 1 second. All right. If you're watching on YouTube, I highly encourage you. Tune in on YouTube. All right. Here we go. All right. So I gave it a hot minute, but nobody's posted it yet. I'm the gambling guy. I got to post this. Jackson Appel, single in the left field, scores a run. From 9 to 10, the total was 10.5. Some people may have gotten it at 10. Tough for the under, but we're not finished yet. Let's fast forward, because some of these guys with 10.5 totals. I fast forward a little bit too far here for what it's worth. This was brutal. So I'm going to try to do this correctly for the show. All right. So Jackson Appel takes second here on catcher's indifference on this play. Catcher's indifference. Jackson Appel takes second base. And we have a balk. And Jackson Appel gets third. So Combs didn't realize this is brutal, that Appel was not at first base anymore. There's a guy on second base. So he attempts to pick off at first. Pick him off at first. So now Appel is standing on third base. Fast forward a little bit to this next pitch from Aaron Combs. Again, total was 10.5. And for some, it was 10. So right now it's a push for the under with all the amazing pitchers in this game. college baseball at its finest. Only the craziest bet on this sport. So for those that aren't watching on YouTube, the final play of that video was a wild pitch. The fifth run for A&M scores on a wild pitch to hit the over 10.5, bust our under, and also bust some people on Tennessee minus 1.5. Brutal. Teddy Burton strikes out later on in the same at bat, and we could have had the under. People could have had Texas A&M minus 1.5. Oh, I almost handicapped this game as perfect as you could have had it. All the first 5 innings plays that I had, the underdog fantasy player projection entry that I had, the one play was my favorite play in the article, favorite play on yesterday's show. That was the one thing that we didn't hit in this national championship game. So tough. Tennessee ends up winning it all. National champions. I mean, going through the end of the game stuff is always, for me, I'm playing the internet game where I'm trying to get some content out there, some of the clips, some of the interviews out there as fast as possible to get some of the engagement, I should say. But some of my favorite moments are after elimination games or like high impact games. I love the drastic differences between two sides after like this. I'm a sicko like that. Like, I enjoy the underdog story, and I always take it in from the loser's perspective as well. I try to shed some light on them, but also celebrate the winning team, obviously, like they should be. But yeah, after this game, Tony Vitello basically said that he felt like Jim Valvano after NC State had won the national championship. He said he was running around, didn't know what to do. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Before we get into the post-game stuff here, because I want to share some stories. That's honestly what I want to do. They're not my interview clips, but I want to share stories that I think are quality, that I wish more people had the chance to know. But first, I've got to, make a little bit of money here with this recap episode and read off some ads. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. But as the college baseball season ends here, make sure you check out the Sports Gambling Podcast as they've started their top 10 fantasy football preview series. The quarterbacks and tight ends episodes are already live. And as they say, it's never too early for the National Football League. Also on Underdog Fantasy, Pick 8 is now live. Create entries up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex the entries, so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. And the best part is that you can win up to 325 times your original amount. You can now use specials and boosts on all flexed entries. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. So sign up today with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Of course, Circa contests have no rake. Circa Millions pick 5 NFL teams, ATS. So in Circa Millions, you can pick 5. You have to pick 5 NFL teams against the spread each week and compete for $6 million, or you can choose to survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up today in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere throughout the season. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with promo code SGP. Don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football? The ultimate contest weekend is a great time to go out and hang with Ryan and Sean from the Sports Gambling Podcast and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sportsbook in the world, Circa Las Vegas, August 22nd through the 24th. The college baseball experience is also brought to you by Rhythm. If you're betting on player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter, data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced analytics and their intuitive user experience, making both betting easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data that help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. Rhythm projections have been red hot this season for WNBA and golf. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, we're home free here on the college baseball experience. Dave Matola, Pacific time viewer here. He goes, "What up, Noah? Now that the college baseball is done, what's next for you? MLB, Korean baseball, WNBA?" Great question. So here, after the college baseball season's over, I'm not planning currently on stopping college baseball content. Of course, we're going to ramp down from the daily episodes in June and the end of May, like we were doing, just because the demand is going to significantly increase. College baseball isn't there audience wise as it is for college football, college basketball. So I don't have the final say on, how much content I actually make money off of. I will continue to do content. My content isn't going to stop. I love college baseball. My following has grown more than ever recently with college baseball. I think there is a little bit of demand when it comes to transfer portal update and fall updates. And also some coaching carousel things, as David Pierce was fired from Texas, officially announced today, even though a lot of people are saying that this was the worst kept secret in the world. This was known 10 days ago or whatever. Officially announced today to the public. So there's going to be content here. It's just my, my strengths, I guess, are going to be like short form content, 10 to 15-minute episodes on just one or a couple topics. That's what you can expect from me here throughout the off season. How much, I don't know. And especially when it gets to college basketball season, if I'm still working as hands-on with the college basketball experience as I did last season, that's our number one show at SGPN. That's where my attention and demand is going to be mostly. But also throughout the college football preseason, I'm working with Colby for all the team previews and everything like that. So another work story that I want to detail you guys on. So in that seventh inning, when Dylan Dreiling hit the 2-run home run, and I was talking about, well, I'll save this for after. All right, here it goes. So you guys have given me this tremendous audience when it comes to gambling content in the college baseball space. I think I do it best and with the largest audience. I don't think that part is a secret. I think there are some people that provide tools that are better than me just providing my voice and opinions. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. But when it comes to commitment throughout the sport, from the preseason, we were doing January episodes to the end of the Men's College World Series finals. I think I do it best. There are some larger audiences that don't do it throughout the season. I think I have the largest audience that does it year round. I'm just being straight up. So when I applied for credentials, media wise, to the College World Series in the beginning of May, I was denied. I've been asked to keep a lot of the information from the public, but we complained about it because the reason why we were shot down was because we mainly do gambling content. But to see a competitor, we only saw one, but we saw a competitor in Omaha credentialed. We complained to the NCAA just like anybody would. It felt like a kick in the dick putting in the amount of time and effort that I did the entire season and to not get credentialed for the pinnacle, for the epicenter of college baseball, the men's College World Series, when the sport gets 90% of its attention from the general public, to not get credentialed for media for something that I put hard work and time into the entire season. It felt wrongdoing. Like, that was honestly how I took it. So they then hit me up after, myself and Sean complained to the NCAA that, hey, we were denied for gambling, but this company is doing the exact same thing that we would be doing. They approved us one day before the games began on media day. Like, that doesn't help. I'm 2 years removed from college. I'm paying student loans. I needed that month and a half to be able to prepare for a trip to Omaha to cover this. And I didn't get that. So I can't drop everything and then go to Omaha. Like, thank you for approving me a month and a half late, but I can't do this. But the one benefit, or the one thing that I can, how do I say this properly? The one thing that I can do from where I currently am here in Michigan rather than in Omaha was they sent out ballots and voting information for the all tournament team for the men's College World Series, which is awesome. And the only reason why I'm able to do that is because you guys listening. So I was going to make that public and announce that, like, hey, this is what happened between me and the NCAA. They ended up approving me a month and a half after I requested. I wasn't able to go to Omaha, but hey, I want to appreciate and send this out as a thank you to all the followers. Like, because of this, I'm able to vote for this men's College World Series all tournament team. The only issue is that the tournament team ballot needed to be submitted by the end of the 7th inning. So, no joke, with 2 outs in the 7th inning, I submitted the ballot. With 2 outs in the 7th. So this was the 7th inning, the bottom of the 7th for Tennessee. Christian Moore flies out to right field. Blake Burke flies out to left field. I hit submit before the 7th inning ends. And then you get a Billy Amick single in the left field. Dylan Dreiling home run for his 3rd homer in the finals. He's now hitting like 535 or whatever it is in Omaha. Just a ridiculous feat that he pulled off. First player ever in men's College World Series finals history to hit a home run in all 3 finals games. Like I said, all 3 of them were in the 7th inning, 2-run shots. Like, that's unprecedented. That's never been done before. I would have voted for that without a doubt. But instead, I went with Christian Moore, who had hit for the 2nd cycle in College World Series history in Game 1, counted for, I don't know, half the offense that was scored in Game 1 when they needed every single bit of it against Florida State. If they don't win that game, they're not here in the College World Series finals. So I weighted that the exact same. But it wasn't just off the cycle. I mean, Christian Moore had an outstanding College World Series in his own right. Moore, at the time, was batting .400. This was at the bottom of the 7th inning. I calculated all the stats. He was hitting .400 with 8 runs scored, 3 RBI, 2 home runs, and had the cycle with a 1298 OPS. And then Dylan Dreiling hits the home run. I think he was batting like 535 or something like that. After this game had ended, he had 10 RBI, 6 runs scored, 1333 OPS. That was a little bit higher too when it was all said and done. That would have been good enough to get my vote for most outstanding player. At the end, I do think the right guy won it because thankfully Dreiling did win. People that were in person probably had a little bit more leeway for submitting a ballot because they're in person talking to tournament directors and whatever. But I submitted it from a virtual location with 2 outs in the 7th inning, and then that happened, which basically it didn't basically seal the deal for Tennessee because they only won 6-5. But at the time, I was kind of saying, just, you know what, it looks like Tennessee's going to win this game. They won the game, but it was not the entire story. So that was my nightmare story, filling out my first all tournament team ballot. My ballot went like this. I had Jackson Appel for catcher. He didn't have a great offensive tournament. At the time of when the voting went final, he was only hitting 272. Of course, he had a hit. He scored in that 9th inning, but only hitting 272 batting average wise going into it. But I mean, he was the backstop for a tremendous pitching staff performance in the College World Series. Only I know this number is a little bit north than what it was, but it was only 2.4 runs against Texas A&M per game. My first baseman that I voted for was Jack Caglione. Just outstanding College World Series performance from him. 667 batting average, 1897 OPS. For what it's worth, Caglione did get the first base nod. At catcher, it went to Jackson West of Florida State, who didn't have the greatest game against Tennessee, but turned it up later on in the College World Series after that first game. Second baseman was Christian Moore on the all-tournament team. I voted for Christian Moore, but I also gave my DH spot. You only got one DH spot, so unfortunately, I couldn't give it to Blake Burke. I ended up going with Caden Kent, who had been the best offensive performer for A&M's team in the College World Series. At the time, he was hitting 476 with 7 RBI, which was tied for the most until Dreiling. And then 2 runs scored, 1248 OPS. And he ended up getting the DH spot on the all-tournament team. Third base was awarded to Alec Makarevich, who hit 2 home runs. He had 4 RBI, and he accounted for 4 of NC State's 8 run, or he accounted for 6 of NC State's 8 runs scored. So, no, it was 4. I don't know why I said 6. He accounted for 4 of NC State's 8 runs scored with a 333 batting average, 1,000 OPS. Dean Curley was not Drew. Why the fuck was I calling him Drew earlier? It's Dean. Wow. Dean Curley. I'm an idiot. 409 batting average, 4 RBI, 2 doubles up until the point of voting in the College World Series. The 3 outfielders that I voted for were Dylan Dreiling, Vance Honeycutt, Jaime Ferrer. Those were the 3 that were awarded. Of course, we said Caden Kent got it, and he was given it. I voted for both Ryan Prager and Evan Aschenbeck on the mound. Aschenbeck got it. He was awarded with it. But had we known that he was going to fall apart in the 7th, 8th, and 9th, I might not have voted for him. I don't know how that would have worked out. But Ryan Prager, I think, got snubbed here. 169 ERA, 10 strikeouts, only 1 walk in 10.2 innings here. He had a no-hitter through 6 innings against Kentucky. He was the starting pitcher in the Game 1 win for A&M against Tennessee. I think he should have gotten out of this all-tournament team. That was, the one that I had voted for that didn't get a nod. Xander Sechrist was the guy that ended up getting it, which I have no problem against Sechrist getting onto the list. It probably would have been Aschenbeck that I would have removed. Sechrist was incredible the entire postseason. And the most outstanding player, like I mentioned, was Dylan Dreiling. So that was the all-tournament team in the College World Series here. Joey V tuning in at 6 a.m. here saying go Vols. Don't know if he's Central Time. That could be 5. Either way, I appreciate you tuning in here early live on YouTube. Going through, I just want to share some stories here from the post game. We had 11.7 posted the picture of Jim Schlossnagle sitting on the bench, just staring into oblivion, obviously probably staring at the celebration happening on the field. But they were saying newest head coach of the Texas Longhorns with asterisks saying, warning, this tweet is for engagement purposes, but obviously that one did very, very well. Then we had Tony Vitello in the post gamer. He got dunked on by some Powerade, ate ice cubes from said Powerade, picked up ice cubes from the Powerade and threw them up into the air multiple times, and then finished it off with a crotch chop. Tony V, did we expect anything less than that? He also jumped into the crowd to celebrate with Tennessee Volunteers fans. We had what else? We had, he lifted up the national championship trophy backwards, so it wasn't showing the NCAA logo. I don't think there was anything to that. He just literally ripped it out of the NCAA representative's hands and just held it up the exact way that he grabbed it. And there was no NCAA logo on the front of these pictures, which is just pure bliss. Awesome. Tennessee was doing the victory laps, which always that's tremendous. Post game, the biggest clip that was going around, the biggest news story entering this was surrounding Jim Schlossnagle. Obviously, Tony Vitello still in the Texas head coaching conversation as well, but Schloss, the way he addressed it, the quote that I pulled was, "I've poured every ounce of my soul in this job, and I've given this job every single ounce I could possibly give it." Right, that. I'll have more thoughts on this, specifically on Schloss to possibly Texas, in another video that'll be out in about an hour and a half on YouTube Live. Later on in the day, podcast platform wise, it'll be out for the trip home from work for those on Eastern time. But there will be a Texas head coaching candidates video / episode that I put out here. Tony Vitello embracing with his dad. That was great. 11.7 tweeted out the clip of Vitello getting introduced at the press conference. Obviously, that was a success, right? Vitello embracing with Peyton Manning, 2 Rocky Top goats that ended up bringing some national championships to Knoxville. That was incredible. Then we had a moment from Xander Sechrist post game where he acknowledges that Danny White is in the back of the press room, and he says, "I'm just going to put it out there. I hope there's a lifetime contract coming soon for Tony Vitello." So Xander Sechrist is a legend. Looking out for him. Post game on the field, we had Vitello get endorsed by the daddy hat and the fur coat. That was great. Billy Amick, there was a video of him that surfaced from NCAA Baseball that he was quoted, "Highly recommend the experience." That was all he said as he was hosting the national championship trophy. As some of you guys know, transferred in from Clemson, so he highly recommends winning a national championship. There's just some great highlights overall. Michaela Chester from NCAA interviewed Drew Beam, and the quote here was, "I'll cherish this for the rest of my life." And the obvious storyline that's been going on with Drew Beam is that his girlfriend's dad and brother were coaches on this Texas A&M staff, which is outstanding. And I thought that was a savage-like quote to say, "I'll cherish this for the rest of my life." If he marries that woman, he will hold that against the 2 dudes in that family for the rest of time. That's outstanding. um, there was a video that came out about from Vitello scooping up some dirt from around home plate. We had a video of Tennessee's team walking back into the hotel where there was a bunch of Volunteers fans there celebrating that. Um, Sechrist was interviewed on field. Another tremendous moment there that he was quoted. I clipped Hayden's shot after the game. He was, you know, he didn't take the loss too well. He had a couple of sharp responses in the post game presser. But he was just talking about like being with the guys. Their belief had never faded until the last strike of the game. Cole Kubalik tweeted out that Tennessee scored 23 of their 40 runs in the College World Series this season with 2 outs, which is just an insane stat in general. Incredible there. There was a picture that surfaced of Aaron Combs just grinning from ear to ear after his insane balk in that moment, attempting to pick off nobody at first base, which ended up allowing that run that killed us. Jim Schlossnagle in the post game. This is a quote that I grabbed, clip. Again, all of this is on my Twitter account. He says, "I'm not discounting Tennessee's championship, but at the end of the day, in 20 years, these guys will remember their relationships and their experiences way more than they will winning or losing this game." Obviously, talking about his Texas A&M players there. He also was quoted saying that tonight felt like a bowl game where the stadium was literally split half and half, Texas A&M fans, Tennessee fans. He attributed that or credited that to the recently updated format of the College World Series schedule, which allows the championship series to be played on the weekend. I mean, if there's anybody that can offer his input on what updates were good and what were bad, it's Schloss with how many College World Series appearances he has. I think it's 8 off the top of my head. He also said that, like, if you can just get into a regional and find a way to host one, it's really hard to go into Olsen Field and win as a road team. Talking about, how he was able to build such a good postseason track record already in 3 seasons with Texas A&M, taking them to 2 College World Series appearances and then also a super regional game 3 against Stanford. No, it wasn't a super regional. That was Texas super regional game 3. I'm getting my notes mixed up for the next episode that we're going to do. Texas A&M was in the Stanford regional, and Texas A&M and Texas could have ended up playing in that super regional, but that didn't happen. But he got them to a regional when they were kind of on the outside looking in that season. So, I mean, he's just a tremendous postseason coach. Then we move on to Dylan Dreiling, who kind of said that he just blacked out in the 7th inning at bat. He made a good comment about how he just overswung at a fastball high early on in the at bat. He said later on, when he saw the changeup, he purposely tried to just sit back on it even more, exaggerate how late he was going to try to be on it. That way he was able to still drive that changeup. And obviously he pulled it, but it was, he barreled it up. And it got out of there, and it was a big moment in the game. Xander Sechrist again had a great quote with talking about him and Kirby Connell and their experiences building this program from kind of where he was on every team here from, I think, the COVID year all the way to 2024. He was in the College World Series run to 2021. 2022, he quoted it as maybe the best college baseball team ever, but they didn't win. Obviously, they lose to Notre Dame in the super regional there. He talks about getting a win in the College World Series in 2023 because they went 0-2 in the 2021 College World Series. And then he talked about winning the national championship here in 2024. That was great. And then Vitello is always gold with long stories. He told a story about how when he hired Quentin Eberhardt, the strength coach at Tennessee, that the administration was actually kind of upset with him taking so long to hire a strength coach, when he said that they were just trying to make sure they made the decision on the right guy. That was a great quote, long-winded as a lot of Tony's answers are in press conferences, but that was great. Also, there was another one that I grabbed that was talking about his pillars of the program and how they kind of built this on the attitude and the grit that they play with, and they're not afraid to show that passion. He says that was our niche. We got to play with some attitude. We got to play with some grit. We had to be able to recruit guys away from the programs that just won and recruit them to be able to show off their personality and also, win some games as well. This was tweeted out by Grant Ramey at Grant Ramey, saying that Tennessee lost back-to-back games on March 16th and 17th, which was 99 days ago. And then they never lost back-to-back games again for the rest of the season. They went 7-0 while facing elimination in the SEC tournament and NCAA tournament, which is tremendous. Then there was another quote that I grabbed from Vitello in postgame when he says, "You go to a concert and everybody knows the words. I love unity. And that's to me why this was the perfect team to have won a national championship." Just describing, how close his team was and also just how passionate and how tight that volunteer fan base is. So he was expressing his love for that. And, that is going to end up wrapping up my recap here. I hope that was suffice enough, because I truly love going through a lot of the post game content that media does. Like, that's what I want to do. Honestly, that's what I want to do. But putting that out, making it public, is something that I wanted to do for the entire morning there. So to answer your question, Crutch, no, I have not slept yet, but also my sleep schedule is so jacked. I woke up at 4 p.m. Like, when this is the only thing that I do, I have just tailor-made my sleep schedule now for the third year in a row to just be completely jacked up from the end of May to the end of June. I devote, that's another reason why, like, I applied for media credential this year. I devote my life, my time to this. Like, I'm still 23. Like, I could go hang out with buddies at bars every night, but instead I choose to do this. And yeah, it's my job, but still it's, sacrifices have been made. And it was something that, I was telling myself, I'm banking this to be able to go to Omaha and cover this thing. And again, not to have been credentialed and then to find out that other people had for gambling content. It was a real kick in the dick. Ty Scarborough says, "I thought for sure the Vols were going to choke it away in the 9th inning. That would have been so Tennessee, but they ended up holding on." Combs was kind of all over the place, but also effectively wild is a legit thing. And that's what Combs was. I thought it was questionable to bring Combs back out because he had, like, how many pitches did he have in game 2 of this thing? Because I don't know if I really truly considered him throwing in this game. In my previews and the article that I wrote, Combs threw 63 pitches. I wasn't really expecting him to come out, but in the do or die game, when the national championship's on the line, you're gonna take that ball for sure. And he did good enough to be able to close the door. Mailman Mike 3 says, "Thanks for all the late night fun all year. Countdown to college football season has begun." Yes, it has. And Colby Dant from the College Football Experience is already doing team previews for all 134 FBS teams. He's even going to mix in some FCS team previews. And over there on the FCS College Football Experience, they're going to be doing conference previews here starting up soon as well. I appreciate it a lot, Crutch. Nobody better. He says, "Dude, you were great as well. Your first year, that was at least public, or at least trying to be. I thought you were outstanding and one of the better voices in the space for sure, on Twitter specifically. Um, Good year, my friend. A good year. I have not hit that switch, not flipped that switch yet for the gratitude portion of that. I'll end up getting to it at some point. My mentions were flowing with some people thanking me for the analysis and angles and picks all season long. I still haven't really put together a thought out message. I'll put that out probably tonight, at Monday night, or it feels like a Monday with the national championship yesterday, but Tuesday night I'll probably put that out. I'm always terrible with this. I'm always procrastinating with my record, but I got to tally it up throughout the season. I have a hefty withdrawal that I'll be able to pull out of a couple of sports books that I use, but I've got to tally it up, total it, make it professional. That's the one thing that I lack, and I'm still new to this. At the same time, not new, but to the college baseball betting space, not new, but to the whole betting thing and making sure that I'm professional and tallying my record, I am a bit amateur with, but the results aren't amateur. As you guys know, if you're listening 56 minutes into this one, I respect it. You guys tuning in the entire time to a recap show. Typically, like if it's not me like hosting the show, I don't really even tune into the recap shows, but like I've got to do it for numbers, and there's obviously a demand for it. So I appreciate you guys tuning into this. There will be a Texas head coaching job candidates video, whatever I'm going to call it, that will come out in about an hour or so after this episode goes live. The Texas head coaching candidates will be live on podcast platforms around 3 Eastern-ish for the drive home from work for the Eastern time folk. But yeah, that's going to end up doing it for this show. Tennessee Volunteers are the 2024 College World Series national champions. Content's not going to stop with the college baseball experience. Transfer portal, coaching carousel, MLB draft. There's going to be some content, at least weekly, here throughout the offseason over on the college baseball experience. I don't know how much per week, but there will be weekly content. I appreciate you all sticking around for this long. You've been experiencing the better side of college baseball with the college baseball experience. Adios, amigos.